Last week, some stories appeared in the newspaper and across social media. There's been a change in how the facility of the Sheriff's Department is being operated at Hamburg Turnpike. I called Sheriff Berdnik, we had a very good conversation just yesterday. The chief, the business administrator, and I visited the Sheriff's Department, 435 Hamburg. Got that right. So I thought the best thing for the community would be to ask the sheriff to come down tonight and inform the public exactly what's taking place. I'd like to introduce Sheriff Richard Berdnik to the podium.
Good evening, Council President, members of the Council, Mayor Berdnik, Administrator. I just want to say again, it's an honor and a privilege to be here before you today. Before I start my comments, I would just like to congratulate all the people that were promoted today and commend the Mayor and Council entirely for funding police, keeping the ranks going. It's so very, very important today. There's nobody more prouder than, of course, their families that were here today. It's definitely one of the highlights of my career to make those promotions. So thank you for funding law enforcement and keeping the great officers of Wayne in the ranks that they deserve to be. Chief McNiff, a phenomenal job. We have a great working relationship with the Wayne Police Department since I've been sheriff, and I plan on having that continue. So again, the purpose here today is to discuss the jail reorganization and really clear up a little bit of misinformation, I believe, that's out there, rumors, gossiping, windows, whatever you want to call it. But I just would like to let you know that today, currently, 90 correctional police officers have transferred over to the sheriff's officer side. And again, that is really a benefit not only to the Township of Wayne, but really to every municipality within the state county. And again, it's the commissioners, our administrator, that continue to fund the police, and they deserve thanks as well. Again, for keeping these officers in their ranks to service our community. So again, what's going to happen to the city of Wayne? I know that's a particular interest here of everybody. So what we're going to do for the city of Wayne is there'll be increased patrols because of the fact that we do have additional officers. We currently have 3 full-time ambulances that have been in place that are staffed by correctional officers. Those 3 ambulances have taken a total of 477 emergency calls. 127 of those calls have been in the Township of Wayne at the top tier of ambulance calls. And my understanding, again, this is because of the fact that it's not only here, it's throughout the county that it's very, very difficult to get these volunteers, especially during the daytime when they have jobs. So we also have crime scene that goes out. Pretty much we've done about 15 crime scene investigations here within probably the last year or so. I have currently assigned 1 sheriff's officer to actually every municipality, and that's again based on the fact that we have these correctional officers act as liaisons. We offer a plethora of services. A lot of the community doesn't really know what we have. So just to give you a little idea, we've got a K-9, we've got a bomb squad, we've got SCUBA, we've got hazmat, SWAT, hostage negotiations, community policing, narcotics warrants. So what does that mean for the township? It means that a lot of these specialized services that require specialized equipment, training is not really necessary for your township to provide, because we provide that. We are a backup. I want to be very clear in that of being a backup to the Wayne Police Department. Primary responsibility is the Township of Wayne, the Police Department. Sheriff's responsibility, of course, are county buildings, county facilities, county roads, and serving a backup to any municipality that requires that assistance. And again, that's how we are able to have that great relationship. Again, we heard about stolen cars, right? Major problem now. I have 1 detective, newly assigned detective, assigned to a stolen car task force to try to eradicate a lot of these stolen car thefts. We're working with the state police, and they've made some great strides, which I'm sure you'll hear about in the future. We have 2 full-time SWAT officers that are out on the road now patrolling the county. These officers are SWAT officers. They're in an emergency vehicle. You may have seen it. And the purpose of that vehicle is to respond immediately to any emergency situation. God forbid, a school shooting, a mall shooting, any type of bank robbery, any type of robbery in progress. Not only do they have specialized weapons, but they also are trained in de-escalation to de-escalate incidents. And again, this is just another benefit to assist the township. So all in effect, again, you know, these services that are provided are tremendous. We've got internet crimes, we go after child predators. Most recently, we had an arrest here in the township of Wayne, taking another predator off the streets. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that that unit does, protecting our children. So right now, the Passaic County Jail is acting as a hub. So what that means is that there are no prisoners in the Passaic County Jail overnight. What happens is those prisoners that are there are transported either to Berdnik County or Hudson County Jail. And then what happens is that when they have to go to court or when they're released, a sheriff's officer will take on that responsibility. So again, there's no overnight prisoners there currently. We're in a transition. So again, the plan ultimately is to demolish the jail and move the hub to the existing, and I want to be clear, to the existing cells that we have in Wayne. These cells were there prior to my being sheriff, and again, I just want to let you know there has never been an incident to my knowledge in any one of these cells that we have here at 435 Hamburg Turnpike. That hub will operate 24/7 around the clock. And again, what we have is, and again, what ultimately benefits not only the city of Wayne, but the other municipalities, is that we will now come to Wayne and we will pick up your prisoners, transport them to the hub, process them, and bring them directly to Berdnik or Hudson County Jail. So no inmate will stay overnight in the hub. No inmate will stay there. They'll be processed there, and they'll be released right after that process is done. I shouldn't say released, incarcerated to one of those facilities. So no inmates will stay overnight, and I also, again, because of my great staff and administration, originally we were going to release from Wayne, but we were going to transport those individuals to where they needed to go. Our staff has come up with a plan now to release from the Patterson Courthouse, the Patterson vicinage. We will release all prisoners to that vicinage, which is only 2 blocks away from where we're currently releasing them in the city of Patterson. So again, this is definitely a benefit. I know that was a concern to a lot of the residents. So we will not release in Wayne. We will not house prisoners overnight in Wayne. So what's happening is, and it's happening across the entire country, it's called regionalization. And it really comes down to reducing taxpayer dollars of what they pay in taxes, where, again, because the fact that the Passaic County Jail was very old, required a lot of money to maintain, and to build a new jail, it would be approximately, I guess at that time, it was figured to be $650 million, which I'm sure no taxpayer wants to incur that burden, let alone where would you put that facility, and that would be an issue as well. So currently what we're going to have is, again, we're going to have that hub within 435, and I want to repeat that it's a temporary hub. It's not a permanent facility. It's going to be there until we're able to get our new hub, which will be built in Patterson, and I would presume on the site where the current jail is. And that will be, again, in the city of Patterson. So, you know, again, I told you a little bit about the benefits of the officers picking up your prisoners, doing the hospital watches. What does that mean for the residents of Wayne? It means that we don't have to pay Wayne officers overtime. It means that instead of a Wayne officer having to take that prisoner to the county jail and spend a few hours there, that officer now is available to take emergency calls around the clock, because we will be 24/7 in that. And actually the police departments are very happy that we're doing that function, because of the fact that it does allow them to do their jobs here in the township. So again, I'm going to pretty much say it because I don't want there to be any misrepresentation. No overnight stays in Wayne, releases in Patterson. And our hub in Patterson, I promise you, the security in that hub will be better than what we had at Passaic County Jail, due to new sophisticated technology, the trained experts that we have, the years of experience that we have, to add additional features to what we currently have. So again, there'll be a system of checks and balances to ensure a smooth transition. I'm very proud of our officers and supervisors. A lot of them actually live in the township of Wayne, and a lot of them are actually here today. I'm also unfortunate to say, but we lost a lot of officers to the Wayne Police Department, and I commend them. You took some of our finest, but again, It's all about, you know, where they want to be, and you have truly benefited from those great officers. So, again, I'm proud to serve as the Passaic County Sheriff. Not only that, as a father of 4 children, grandfather of 3, 2 more on the way. I understand the concerns of each and every person in this room, and I pledge to you to maintain that continued safety and success that we have provided for each of everyone's families. And again, I look forward to continued relationship. I want to be transparent in what we do there. And again, if there's any input, I would love to hear it. So also, again, there's great attendance in this room. I'd like to be proactive. I'm actually going to have a Sheriff's Town Hall meeting, which is going to be at the Public Safety Academy in Wayne. It's 300 Oldham Road in Wayne. It'll be 7 p.m. Again, the purpose of it is to provide updates, keep everybody informed of what we're doing. And again, I look forward to seeing everyone there. I thank everyone in the audience for attending, being updated, and also those our viewers at home for watching and tuning in. And again, if there's any questions, I would be more than happy to take them at this time.
Okay, I'll take a list, and I want to go first, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you, Sheriff, for coming this evening. I truly appreciate your description of services and how you're coordinating with the Township Police Department. We hope that is happening, and we thank you for that. You've addressed processing and the release of prisoners, which were 2 of the significant issues that were being raised on the internet from our residents speaking with all of us. Because we talk to the residents and they speak to us, and that's what was happening. My concern is, and maybe this is something you addressed and has been addressed, some things that are out of your control. That is the arrangements with Bergen and Hudson. What happens when they say, you can't bring your prisoners here, we're maxed? You know, are there contingencies developed or envisioned when something is out of your control, where they say, you know what, we're maxed out, you know, we're at capacity. Our arrangement with Passaic County, we understand, you know, but our priority is to Hudson, our priority is to Bergen, and for today or for a limited period of time, you can't transport. Then what? At that point, do the inmates stay in Wayne? That would be a concern.
So no, they're not permitted to stay in Wayne. So the purpose and the original agreement of Bergen was exactly that, right? So that was the start of the process. Hudson is currently the overflow jail that has the ability to accept the additional prisoners. So that's a great question. It is something that we looked into. And we also have Essex as a backup to that as well. But no prisoners, it's not designed to be a jail. It's no different than a Wayne holding cell.
Okay, we understand the intent of it not being designed, but again, when these other counties are, if they take certain positions that again are out of your control, then where are we left? So again, you're telling us that these are being thought out, so.
Correct. And my understanding also is Bergen is going to be building an additional wing on their jail.
All right.
Thank you, Council President. So to be crystal clear for anyone who's out there listening, I know you've said it a few times, but I want to maybe word it a little bit differently. There will be no processing in this hub, meaning you bring in someone who's been arrested, there's no issuance of a desk ticket and a reporting date to show up in court and they say, goodbye, you can leave now, and they walk out on the street on Amber Turnpike.
So what
that will never happen.
What would happen, and again, I never say never, but what would happen is that person would be released from Wayne headquarters before they even got to us. And that release would take place right out the front door of this police station here. So in a case where they're going to be incarcerated, we would then come pick them up. Again, we are not going to accept bail. That bail would be accepted in Bergen or Hudson. But again, I go back to the fact that if they were going to be released on bail in that particular case, if they were in Bergen, we would go to Bergen, pick them up, we would take them to Patterson, and release them from Patterson.
Okay, and another question I have for council, just because my understanding is, I don't think the township has the authority to weigh in on the decision-making of the sheriff to begin with. Am I correct? Do we have any say in this at all?
Not in terms of their procedures and policies.
And their use of this facility as a hub, we can't stand in the way of the county under the circumstances, can we?
I will confer with, Matt Jacoby when I see him, but my understanding is no.
Thank you.
So again, we're looking for a working relationship, you know, and that's why, again, I'm here today, is to get the input of the council, you know, get the input of the police department, fire department, EMS, everybody, because again, in order for this to work, we do need everybody's cooperation.
Councilman Scarlett.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for coming tonight, Sheriff. We really appreciate it. A lot of my constituents live near this facility, and maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what happens when you have a prisoner and they're driving down Hamburg Turnpike and they pull in. Do you have, like we have here, a sally port? Do these prisoners at any time, are they out of a car or walking outside, or are they always inside? Does the car pull in a secure area, or the van or whatever, and then leaving, are they secured in the vehicle before they leave? Could you just walk through that?
Yeah, no, a very valid concern. So what we have is actually multiple sally ports. Sally ports are, for people that are watching or don't understand, our garages. So the way that we have and currently have within our system, again, and refining it even more so. So when one door opens, right, you can't open another door. When that door closes, it allows another door to open. So, and that's why I said there's going to be actually several layers. There'll be more layers in Wayne than there are actually in Patterson as far as levels of security. And I can't go into all the specifics, but when I tell you electronic security, from cameras to controls, and you know, I'm very confident that, you know, again, these people are there for a short period of time. However, with the full staff of officers that are going to be in that facility, I'm very confident that we'll have full custody and control of those prisoners that we have.
Councilman Sadowski.
Thank you, Council President. Sheriff, thank you for being here. We appreciate you coming down and answering everybody's questions. I'm sure the residents would have loved to ask questions. You mentioned that there's a town hall meeting at 7 p.m. up on Oldham Road, but you didn't say what date it was.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to be,
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in that. And then you mentioned that
Councilman, your mic.
sorry about that. I should know that after all the time. My next question, you mentioned that this Wayne hub would be temporary. Is there a time frame for how long temporary is?
Again, it's all going to depend on the time, and we're all familiar with the process of building and you know, going through the red tape. Again, you know, I could guesstimate again, and there's no hold me to it, but you know, again, if at the end of this year they knock the facility down, I would think it would be logical to think it would be 2 to 3 years.
The next question is just a process question. So there's going to be a sheriff's officer that's going to pick somebody up in Wayne or another town and bring them to the Hamburg Turnpike facility before they go to Bergen or Hudson.
Correct.
Why that interim step? Why can't they go right to those other facilities?
So there's processes, whether it's medical, psychological, and then also, you know, having our system is not integrated with the other systems, but is integrated with the other county jails. So, you know, again, they're released there, they're processed there, and it's just another check and balance to make sure that, again, you know, the charges are correct, there may be additional charges, and it allows us at that time to really thoroughly vet that individual.
Yeah, and one more question. So this arrangement, and you know, it's no secret that I have been a vocal critic of county government. I'm sure you know. And Wayne and actually your Clifton, between the two, probably is about 40% of the county's budget. And the move to use Bergen was hailed as a cost-saving measure. I'm just curious, like, if you could share, you know, what the realized savings have been.
So again, you know, the savings will be, again, they're not immediately, but again, that's definitely a budget share question, and I will make sure that we'll have that addressed at our town hall. Thank you.
Councilman Ritter.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you very much, Sheriff, for coming to address us this evening. You know, as the Wayne Hub is in my ward, shared board with Councilman Scarali. We represent wards, but we care very much about all of Wayne and all of our residents. As a Wayne councilwoman, as a resident, as a parent, I would very much like to see that both the processing and the release happen outside of Wayne's borders. I think that that would be something that I would very much like to see the Passaic County government, the sheriff's office, to consider other possibilities, such as processing, again, not on Hamburg Turnpike, but processing either at the Passaic County Courthouse or at Bergen Jail or Hudson, but not here. Is that at all possible?
Unfortunately, not at this time, because again, space really is the issue, and we need that space to facilitate that. Would I love to do that? Yeah. Would it make it easier for me? 100%. But as I said, it is a work in progress. So, you know, as we go forward and we continue to figure things out and we can streamline things, you know, again, will I say it's not a possibility in the future? You know, I won't. I mean, I take it under consideration. But right now, again, it's about having the facility already there. If somebody here could tell me of another facility we can use that's not going to cost us or any taxpayers any money, I'd be more than interested in hearing that. But for somebody to go out and build even a small jail, and here in Wayne, you just built a whole new facility, right? So just think about the amount of money and the amount of time that took. So it's not an option right now to do that because of those situations.
Is it possible, in terms of processing, can you process at the point of the arrest? So in West Milford, you get a call, right? And then, you know, the sheriff's office goes up there. Can you do processing from either that location or the vicinage that where the arrestee or prisoner
Because
is?
again, you know, we have to do certain protocols that we're required to do. And I go back to the medical, psychological, and these are again where sometimes the prisoners go to the hospital, and this has always been a problem for Wayne and actually for a lot of other municipalities, because we would not accept that inmate. We're not allowed to accept that inmate. And what happens is now the Wayne officer has to go to the hospital and wait for clearance. So they could sit there for 8 hours, they could sit there for 2 days. In a case of a bank robbery here, and Mayor, I'm sure you can tell, I don't know how long that was.
6 months.
6 months of taking an officer off the road and putting him there. So, you know, again, we have a certain process that we have to follow, we're required to follow, and that's by the state. So, you know, again, at this time, it has to be this way.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you for also scheduling this special forum on May 2nd. And I'm very happy to hear that Wayne residents will have it practically in their backyard to hear, and maybe there'll be some developments by then.
Yeah, listen, anything's possible, Councilman.
Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Councilman Stefan.
Thank you, Council President. Sheriff, appreciate you being here tonight. A few questions. So, question in regards to after processing is complete, saying the individual is going to be transported to the Patterson vicinage. Technically, they're now in custody again if they're in the back of a police car going down to Patterson after they were done being processed in
Right.
Maine. How are we not violating someone's civil rights by transporting them in the back of a police car after they've been processed? And what's the liability for the county? God forbid there was an accident and they were to get hurt or even get killed.
So again, what'll happen is the final processing of them being released will be from the Patterson vicinage. So they're in custody until that point.
So they'll remain in custody until that time, okay. Another one, what if a juvenile is in custodial detention for a certain amount of time? What are we gonna do if no parents available to pick them up? Where would they go since it's not an overnight hub?
Again, juvenile detention would probably be an option at that particular time.
And then last one, I'll go into the budget a little bit here, piggyback off of Councilman Sadowski. So I was looking at the 2023 introduced county budget, and I see roughly 26.3 million allocated to jail and workhouse, which doesn't include the 25 million agreement with Bergen and Hudson County. Can you elaborate a little bit on how we're still spending this much money when we no longer are operating a jail? Based on this year's current budget, it's costing the taxpayer more to not have a jail than when we did have one.
So you have to understand, we're still maintaining employees. Quite a few of them have gotten other jobs. I'm hoping in a very short period of time that, again, as you know, salaries are really the main crux of those numbers. And we have, again, a TO of organization of the number of correctional officers that, again, I'm obligated to have in my budget. So again, the fact is that we will, again, lose those additional, I believe it's 60 correctional officers, and that'll be over the budget. But again, you know, I don't wanna do this hastily. I have to make sure that there's no issues. I have to ensure the safety of the public. That's my primary concern. And until I'm comfortable that we are operating correctly, there are no threats, there are no incidents, you know, we have to maintain at least what we need to get that done. So, as I said, the savings will be long-term. We're currently saving $10 million on not having a juvenile detention center a year. So, over the past years, I mean, just think of the amount of money that equates.
When you were talking about the countywide initiative with ambulances, the 3 ambulances, is there anything looking into maybe doing that with fire as well? Or just ambulances at this time? Some sort of fire service?
No, yeah, not at this time.
Councilman Verona.
Thank you, and thank you, Sheriff, for being here tonight. It's good to see you. I think most of us up here would love to see you more often, so consider having an open invite to come to any of our meetings. We'd love to continue this dialogue.
Dinner would be an incentive.
We do dinner and drinks.
We'll just get arrested.
I have a follow-up question about the facility itself. You talked a little bit about the Sally ports. I think in your opening remarks, you said that the cells were there before you even became
Correct.
sheriff. And I think in some of my conversations with the mayor and the administration, there was possibly some work done to the building that we weren't even aware of. I'm not sure if that is the Sally ports or the cells themselves. So some of this is new information to us. I guess my question is, how old are those cells? How old is the technology that's governing the Sally ports and the locks and the
It's
processing?
actually a great question. So we actually have called in the Department of Corrections to come in and give us a reassessment of that facility. And again, you know, with technology today, we will definitely go way far above what is required by them for additional security. But again, they'll come in, we'll talk with them, and then if there's any issues, we'll address that with them and correct that.
Okay, so prior to this new,
Yeah, the meeting is
procedure
scheduled, I
goes
believe,
into place.
within the next 2 weeks or so.
Okay, great. So you guys are prepared then if the recommendation comes back that there needs to be some investment of new, equipment or new technology, you guys are willing to, write that check and put that work in?
100%.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
We're actually we have some additional questions.
Okay.
I have a follow-up, and I think Dave triggered it. And we went through the due diligence when we were building our own. The holding cells themselves are governed by certain regulations from the Department of Corrections. Is that correct?
Correct.
So they would have to be certified and inspected by the Department of Corrections, the New Jersey Department of Corrections, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a different designation on whether the cell is designated as a holding cell or cell that will house the inmate overnight?
So that's actually a great question. We'll find that out when you know, the Department of Corrections comes.
And what would your office be seeking? A certification for a temporary holding or an overnight holding?
I personally don't think there's a difference. In Wayne, you have holding cells. You have the ability to hold overnight.
Okay, but we've already talked about how we're never gonna hold them overnight, so why would we seek, or why would you
But that's
seek
what I'm saying.
help?
So let me clarify. I don't think there is a distinction whether you house overnight or temporary, but I'm telling you, we will not house overnight.
Yeah, my question was, is there a different certification, and I guess.
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
But whatever
And
it
these,
is.
again, you know, it's a work in progress, so, you know, we are vetting all these issues, and again, it's great questions like this that allows me to ask additional questions.
Understood, thank you. That's the purpose, that's why we talk.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, back to the second round. We'll start with Councilman Sadowski.
Hi, Council President. So when we were building this facility, Sheriff, I actually, through the mayor's office, asked, hey, what's the chances Wayne could take over that facility and that be our police department? And, you know, that didn't happen. But alternatively, I would have loved to have kept that as a commercial property that, you know, brought in tax revenue to town and to
Right.
the county, but, you know, we're past that. But the question I have is actually a follow-up to earlier, when somebody asked about about other possible locations. It'd be interesting to get that list of like what was actually looked at. I'm just curious as to what were the facilities that were under consideration and that ultimately, you know, the decision was to pick the
I
wing.
personally, again, I know the commissioners were involved in that, and it was through the administration, but I know one of the requirements was a minimum of 5 acres for any new type jail. And that was a problem, because first of all, as you know, no town really wants a jail in their town because of the fact that the stigma of it being a jail, the fact that, you know, again, it's a loss of tax revenue. So, you know, again, it was, as far as I know, it was vetted, but it turned out to be not a reliable option. And the fact that our building is old and, you know, they were putting money into it, you know, it came to a point where, again, it was vetted through the community, the unions were involved, and the decision ultimately was to have a hub.
Okay. But maybe my question was not clear, but the choice of having Wayne as the temporary location, what other locations were considered for
So,
temporary?
there were no other choices, only because of the fact that the building was there, the cells were in place, and it could be immediate. And that was, in my opinion, the choice. Wayne was the only, because again, having to build a new structure, unless you guys are willing to invite us here to Wayne headquarters, I'll definitely consider that.
No parking, sorry.
So, you know, it's really, again, it comes down to saving taxpayer dollars and being able to hit the ground running. The structure is there, the sally ports are there, officers are there 24/7. So not only do you have, you know, correctional police officers that are gonna be there, you've also got a full complement of sheriff's officers that come and go around the clock as well.
What is the prosecutor's office facility, is that under consideration, or that wouldn't have worked at all?
Not
down
to
there?
my knowledge.
Okay. Thank you for clarification.
Councilman DeStefano.
Thank you, Council President. Just 2 follow-up questions. Are we planning on doing any capital improvements to 435 then?
So again, it's all gonna depend if we're required to do so. Yeah, we would have to if we're required to do so. But again, we have to move individuals there from the jail. Jail records will be there. And again, we have to have the ability to have, you know, our nursing staff there, our you know, psychological unit there. So, you know, will we need additional desks within the facility? Yes, we will.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because if it doesn't, you know, require a capital improvement, then that would go to the Wayne Planning Board just for review, not a vote, but review, correct, Mayor?
It's all internal. There's nothing on the outside, so it can trigger a site plan review for capital review.
Okay.
And just one other thing, the benefit of the work that's being done there is all being done in-house, and that saves a tremendous amount of money. We've also taken a lot of supplies from the jail. There's a lot of construction material that we've taken from there. So my guess is that, again, saving taxpayers money because of the fact that we're self-contained. We have our own plumbers, we have our own electricians, our own framers, that will be able to do a very strong, secure facility, and at the same time, at a very, very minimal cost.
Last question is, how many cells and how many people can 435 Amber hold?
So again, there's 4 cells currently, and again, we're gonna ask for a exact number based on what the Department of Corrections will tell us. But the cells are large, they're not small. Multiple people can go in those cells. So again, I don't wanna be inaccurate, but I'm saying we can have a minimum, probably a minimum of 15 to 20.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Councilman Scarali and then Councilman Ritter.
Thank you, Council President. Sheriff, I just have a follow-up question. You mentioned medical, you have prisoners that come there that need medical attention. So does that mean that medical personnel, doctors, whoever's needed, do they come to the facility, or does that mean it's gonna be an increase in usage or a start of usage of the hospital? There's a lot of medical offices across the street. It's a very high concentration of medical facilities there. So when you say medical,
Right, so, you know, we have a nurse, and then we'll have a psychiatrist. So again, these people have to be cleared before they go to the facility. Unfortunately, a lot of people, may use or feign being sick, not to go to jail. So the fact of us having those people within our facility, again, we don't have to bring somebody in again, which again exposes us to security risks. We currently have them employed at the jail. The idea would be is to carry those employees over to us. Of course, it'll be much less, but to bring them over, again, right now they are contracted employees, and the idea, I think, would be is to make them county employees.
Right, so you don't expect that there'll be situations that are beyond the capabilities of those in-house people that where these individuals are gonna have to be brought to the hospital or brought to the.
Well, it's no different than it currently is. So if a Wayne person right now currently arrested by Wayne, or for that matter, wherever they may live, and they're brought to the jail, they don't clear the medical process, that's where that officer then takes that person to the hospital for either a psychological or a medical clearance and stays with them until the time that they're released and we're able to accept.
But it would stand to reason if these things are occurring in Patterson now and they're gonna be occurring in Wayne, that there is gonna be an uptick in this.
Well, the thing is that they're occurring everywhere, so it's no different is what I'm saying. So the fact is that.
My constituents live there, so I'm worried about that.
Excuse me?
My constituents live there. That's where I have to worry about my constituents, because I have to worry about what's going on for my constituents, not what's happening elsewhere.
Right,
So-
but my thing is, again, is that we will pick them up. If they have a medical issue, we stay with them. We'll watch them in the hospital. It's no different than what it currently is.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Ritter.
And thank you, Council President. Sheriff, thank you again for this information. When are these changes to take place? Because social media indicated, like, it seemed like it was gonna happen rapidly, and you might have mentioned a date, but is there a projected date for
It's,
this?
again, the way that we're looking at it, and again, the input, and we're doing our due diligence and making sure that everything is right. And again, that's also the process of having the hub now, not having people overnight, is to see if there are issues, any problems, if we have to make any corrections within our hub, we have the ability to do that. So, again, I'll say possibly late fall, again, before they knock the facility down, have all the bugs worked out, is when our hub, and again, we're not gonna start at 100%, we'll start slowly and continue to do that until we're able to get to what we need to do.
Councilman Ed.
Thank you, Council President. Do you have any projections of how many individuals may be processed on any given day through this facility? And what are we talking about in terms of volume of actual, we talk about processing, but what does that mean in terms of actual foot traffic? How many?
So again, we can't predict that. I could give you an average of 10. I'll give you an average of 10, but again, they're all based on, who's arrested. If Wayne has a busy weekend and they arrest 5 people, and if Clifton has a busy weekend and they arrest, 3 people, and, it all depends, on the number of arrests. So unfortunately, I'm not Nostradamus, so I can't.
No, understood. I completely understand. I'm just wondering if there's any projections. I get that there's
I'll
no way.
I'll go by the
definitive.
number of roughly 10 to 15.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, your turn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Sheriff, for coming here tonight. As I said before, the chief and the business administrator and the sheriff and I met yesterday, and we went for a tour of the facility. It's basically looks just like what we have in the back with the sally ports, except theirs is much bigger. I just wanted to explain something. If you were to get arrested tonight in Wayne, there's 2 things that can happen. Based on the crime that you're alleged to have done, you'll be released on a summons, and then you'll go out the back door that you came from, here, or you'll be arrested on a warrant. And then if it's going to be on a warrant, then our police department will take you down to the sheriff's department in Patterson to get processed. With this program, we will no longer be doing that. And sometimes that process takes a while, because if we show up at the sheriff's department and the person says, I don't feel good, a lot of times we get stuck taking that. Now we send 2 officers, mind you, because we don't let one go by themselves. Now we have to take that person to the emergency room, wait for that person to be seen, then bring them back to the sheriff's office, and hopefully it's within the hours that they're accepting new inmates. So for us, for our police department, it puts more men on the road, men and women on the road, because we don't have to go down Patterson anymore or transport them. Now, I'll be the first one to say, none of us is really thrilled this is gonna happen in Wayne. I don't see anybody saying, this is a great idea. But based on the facts of where we are now, that the sheriff already has a building built on Hamburg Turnpike that has the same cells that we have here, we really don't have any legal way to stop him from doing that. So I can pledge to you that we will monitor the situation. I'm sure the council's gonna be very interested. You go on a tour there, it basically looks like our building in the back. They have a sally port, which just means a garage. They have 2 sally ports. Theirs is even better because they have a garage going into a garage where we just have the garage. So it's pretty interesting. Again, with bail reform, there are much less people being held on warrants. More people are just being let go ahead out. The world has changed with bail reform. Now, I don't want to get into whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, but the statistics are showing the number of people actually held on warrants is very small. So when the sheriff said maybe there's 10 during a day for the entire Passaic County, that's a pretty low number. You would think that would be much higher. I pledge to you that we will monitor the situation. I have no way to stop this from happening. The sheriff is committed to knowing he'll stay overnight, and I know all of you will be watching. We will certainly keep an eye on the situation. But I think from where we are today, we have no way to change this. The county has owned that building probably 15 years. And when they bought the building, they put in the cells and the sally ports. And they're constructing offices in there now. As I said, none of us are happy that this is coming to our town. This is not the best thing that we were looking forward to. Sheriff has made many commitments tonight. I'm sure you all wrote them down and heard them, and we will expect you to follow through, and I think that's where we are. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I want to stress again, this is a temporary solution. So we'll keep the dialogue open between yourself and local council. And again, we will address the concerns, and again, it's a slow and steady process, but I can assure every resident of Wayne that each and every one of you will have complete safety, your families will be safe, will be secure. And again, I have no doubt between our department and the regular Wayne Police Department is going to be very safe. So thank you.
And you said May 2nd,
Okay, at this point, we will proceed with Section B, report from Matthew Cavella, First Aid and Safety Commissioner.